Situation now shows a position in which white is a pawn up, he's restricted our king, and he has a pretty strong grip on the h-pawn, which means that our pawn can't advance. Now, of course, the question that you may be asking yourself is, how could it get any worse? Well, we've actually seen worse situations with the previous examples, and this position isn't really worse than those. Yet, the question is, what can black do? If it doesn't do anything, white will most likely get to advance his pawn, and or maybe just even get his rook to cause some checkmating threat. So white will be winning. The two pawns are only the beginning. He's going to force black to stay away or move the king. He's going to stay with the rook to put the rook on the f8, which is terribly passive. So this is the moment. This is really the possibility. If black is going to complicate, he's got to do it now. My question to you is, do you think that black has anything else he could do to complicate? Or do you think that he's just losing? What would you say? The correct solution to this problem is certainly rook f5. When the rook comes down, white can't take it, given that after the take, black will just capture h7, and after a6, he promotes faster. So we see that black will win the game. In that direction also, after rook f5, white can't do anything else but push the pawn. And now we see the flexibility. The rook's being able to hold the both pawns, together with the idea that if white pushes, rook a6 and the rook of white falls. It's quite amazing that such tactics exist just because white put the rook too close to the king. And of course, the far advanced pawn on the h3 allows a rescue chance with rook takes g5. Does black win? No, he doesn't. White can save with constant checks on a7 and a8. However, black saved the loss of a very difficult position, because he was able to find the motive that ultimately all he needs to do is to utilize white's own weakness. See that no matter how difficult the position is, or your position is actually, you have to keep in mind what are the real disadvantages, the real vulnerabilities inside the opponent's structure. No matter how strong a given position is, there is always some negative. That was a quote by Alexander Alekhine, one of the greatest chess champions. Alekhine also recommended that we have to look into the opponent's weaknesses and find out what are these small and yet pretty significant disadvantages. So rook f5 was brilliant. I think that was a great example.